Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Triforce podcast.
Guten Tag und willkommen zu Triforce podcast.
We're back. I don't know any other languages, so...
Yeah, bienvenue
Bien...
Triforce podcast day.
Yes, that's the one. We're back.
Voila! Le podcast.
What else?
Va-va-voom.
Ishaima sen? Is that what they say?
Sure.
I think that might be welcome to my shop.
Sure.
In Japanese.
Sure.
Something like that.
Welcome to my shop.
It might not be that.
It's quite a sweet thing to say.
Anyway, welcome back. Bonus podcast, because P Flex wasn't supposed to be here.
No, he was meant to be away on a trip that has now been cancelled, like so many other trips recently.
The trip has not been cancelled. The event is going on. I was going to go to Starladder in Kiev, and I was meant to be there right now. I should physically be in Kiev. Had things gone differently, I would be.
Sat in front of a camera,
talking about
dabbed
Dota.
Makeup on you under a bright light,
Yeah.
watching Dota.
Dota.
Watching someone else play Dota, someone else control the Dota on your screen, and you have a heavy headset on, talking with some other fellow about Dota.
Exactly.
A game that you play occasionally to a medium quality standard.
Thank
Is that
you.
fair?
Yeah, that's an excellent summary. That actually is. So yeah, I should have been doing that, but coronavirus and everything. I thought my thing is not I don't want to catch it there, which is like a relatively minor chance of that happening. But what if on the flight, you want to get your flight back and they're like, Britain in a state of lockdown. And you're like, okay, so now I can't get in. Some guy on the plane has it. And so they quarantine the entire plane.
Yeah.
2 weeks in a quarantine. I was just like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
That's the shitter. If you get stuck somewhere in a foreign land and you're quarantined and you can't get back home, that's the a bad part of it, right? I mean, getting the virus...
That would suck,
pretty bad too.
But this was like the more likely and scary thing.
Yes.
I mean, obviously getting the virus would be the scariest thing because you never know. But the sort of more likely and therefore more real threat is you get quarantined for some god-awful reason. The pilot had it, something like that. So I just thought I don't really want to travel when everybody's in the grip
We've
of
seen
mania.
movies where people get quarantined in those warehouses full of beds and it looks like some sort of slave center. And there's just, you can see it. You could see it happening. And there's like mums with crying babies, people with soup ladles and big urns giving out soup to dirty-faced, beggar-looking folk,
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's a tough... I don't know whether it's like that or whether they just put you in a travel in.
I don't know what the plan is.
Maybe they just get some bubbles, or maybe they put some tents up like Glastonbury style. Just get disposable tents. I don't know. It's the reaction is both at the same time overwhelming and also positive. Lots of people, lots of lives have been saved by the coronavirus who would have otherwise have gotten the flu. I read somewhere that 50,000 people who would have otherwise died of flu didn't die of flu because of the coronavirus protections. So that's pretty positive, right?
Apparently in Canada, you can't order toilet paper from Amazon anymore. They won't deliver it because people
there was this toilet paper
stockpiling toilet paper.
Someone said that it was like going to run out.
Yeah.
So it's been mental. It's weird, isn't it? Normally people stockpile petrol.
Yes.
Yeah, or food, but instead of just toilet paper. Like, the thing is, once it gets out that people are stockpiling toilet paper, everyone's going to stockpile toilet paper. Like, there's no point being the one guy on your street.
Toilet paper is just going to replace money at some point.
Yeah, like the way bottle caps are the currency in Fallout.
I'll give you that for 3 rolls.
3 rolls? 2 ply? 3 ply? You kidding me, bro? I'll give you one sheet of 1 ply for that.
That's how much I think of your art, asshole. You fucking garbage.
Oh my God.
It's like a kid drew this.
Do you think people will be like undoing cigarettes to like use the cigarette paper as toilet paper?
As toilet paper.
Is that where we're going to?
Because the thing is with toilet paper, there's lots of alternatives. Alternatives. You get an old pillowcase, you wipe your ass with that, no problem. If you have like an old duvet or whatever, just cut it up into little squares. Wipe your ass like 1,000,000 times with that, Like
a drawing your kids have done?
Yeah.
Wipe your ass with it.
Yeah. And if you're really ahead of the times, you'll have a bidet in your bathroom.
Bidet?
In your
and you'll
apocalypse
spray
bunker.
warm water into your ass to cleanse it. Just get just have like a I don't know. I don't know what's proper etiquette for a bidet. Like, do you have to do you just spray the water and then dry off your ass, or like
I don't know.
What?
I honestly
get, like,
don't
a face
know.
cloth up in there, or
Like I don't know if there's
dry.
I don't know if there's drying involved. Like I've
there would
never
have to be,
used
right?
I've never used a bidet ever.
Yeah.
Because we just don't have them in the UK, and when I go abroad, I don't really know how to use
There's
them.
probably like a WikiHow article on how to do it.
They're very popular on the continent, right? France and Italy have them, and other places like that. I think Japan is quite popular with them as well. They like to spray water up their asses in Japan.
But then, do you just use a hairdryer to dry your butt?
I feel like the bidet should be like an all-in-one, After it's done spraying your ass, it should gently blow some warm air into your ass to help
like
it
you
dry.
said, I'm sure in Japan they have one that, gently blows, it whispers at your butt until it's dry.
Yeah, and it speaks like a
Positive
schoolgirl.
messages.
And
Some of them have a built-in dryer in the toilet.
it's got a fleshlight built in there and stuff.
So they dry you. I think it's quite a long process. It's quite a clean. Everyone's being encouraged to wash their hands, but we
Yeah.
should be encouraging to wash their asses too.
Well,
You know?
I think washing your hands is the more important one. I think no matter what happens, if your hands are in your ass for some reason or whatever, just wash your hands. Like
Yes.
I think that's the big takeaway from all this is people should just wash their hands more.
It says here that you should pat yourself dry with toilet paper. So how much toilet paper do you think that uses anyway? Like,
I don't know.
Does
Must
it
be a
use
hell of a
more or
lot.
less?
No wonder they're stockpiling it. Oh, there's the fucking door. Hold on, I'll be back.
Yeah, it seems like a weird thing to stockpile toilet paper. Like you said, like gas, I can understand people stockpiling like gas, things that they would need for a generator to keep like electricity going and stuff like that. But stockpiling a bunch of toilet paper and ketchup and stuff,
I feel like
I don't know.
pack of 12 rolls of toilet paper will last me quite a while. Whereas petrol, I feel like petrol's one of those things that you don't want to have loads of gallons of petrol like stacked up in your garage.
No.
And you don't particularly want, like, you get more petrol when you run out of petrol, right?
Yeah.
With toilet paper, I always seem to have a few rolls
Still
somewhere.
on this, are we? I've come back.
Yeah, we're just talking. There's more to talk about, really. I mean, this is
What's a more sensible thing to stockpile?
Broad topic.
Like, for coronavirus? I guess, like...
Paracetamol.
Well, I think the thing is most people feel like if there is an outbreak in their local area, they're just going to hunker down and stay home and not have any guests over and wait it out, which is, sensible. Like, yeah, I mean, you could pretty much do it. You just need a lot of antibacterial gel, good hand washing and stuff, and yeah, you'd probably be fine. So I guess people are stockpiling things that they need to just live ordinary life in their house without going out for like a couple of weeks.
Self-isolation.
Yeah.
Do you think, like, because like the share price of the markets are going down, right? Because of all the lack of industry being done.
You'd think that there'd be more with all the stockpiling going on, but I guess
has Netflix done well out of this? Do you know what I mean?
Well,
are they because
probably.
people are all staying
I don't
home?
know. It
don't
doesn't
know.
feel like they'd be affected somehow. Like I think like retail, especially like grocery supermarkets and stuff like that, will probably see more money coming in. But then travel, the travel industry will probably see a huge slump, right? Because a lot of people shy away from traveling now. A lot of people have canceled trips, and a lot of people just won't book new stuff. So it'll have effects here and there, and I feel like maybe it just balances out somehow, but it probably doesn't. Like there'll probably be some places that are affected by it.
All right, so here's a question. I went out last night. I'm a little bit hungover today. I went out to see my mates, and we went to a gig, so like a comedian. And when I traveled there, I said to my mates, like we're all saying hello, and I was like, God, I relayed to them something I'd seen on the underground that horrified me.
Right.
They didn't care at all. What I saw was everybody holding on to the little poles, the poles you use on the underground, right? Just holding on to them casually with their bare hands.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I never do that because the average person holds on at the same point on the pole as everybody else does. Everybody gets on and holds on, coughs in their hand, sneezes in their hand, holding on to the pole. And I was like, I don't do that anyway, but surely with this virus around here, what are you doing touching any of the surfaces on any kind of public transport?
Well, this is it. I said to Steve this morning, because Steve was coming in. He's like, he said he was on the train this morning and he coughed because he's a smoker. So a smoker, he coughs every minute or so, just because smokers do that.
Yeah.
And so everyone on the train like looked at him and gave him an evil, every time he would cough, as if he was sort of infected. We have this, and you do see a lot of people wearing masks. I've seen a lot of people out wearing masks, which is very unusual. I've seen a lot of people
unusual over here. It's like
talking about things on the train and stories that have happened to them where someone coughed. So a girl I know was wearing a mask on the train because she had a cold, right? Because you're wearing masks not to spread disease, not to, if you've got like something. The masks are not to keep you safe. They're to keep other people from getting what you've got, right? And so some guy saw her wearing a mask and like literally just coughed in her face.
Really?
I don't know why we take such offense to the masks. Because apparently quite a few students from Asia are wearing them. It's a real cultural thing. Like when I went to China, people wear them all the time. Nobody blinks. But you see someone wearing one, and people are very aggressive. Like there are a lot of people in Britain that are just very aggressive about people doing things differently. Oh, wearing a mask, are you? Like, what's wrong with you? Just let him wear the mask. Who cares?
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't believe people are still like this.
They're just pricks. We're an island of pricks.
It's Reddit, but it's in the real world. That's what it is.
Awful people.
Yeah.
Just awful.
Anyway, so what happened? I agree with you, people. Like on the train, on the tube, I always avoid touching those poles, but sometimes I do it. And it's all clammy and warm as if someone's just let go of it 10 seconds ago.
As if someone's used a bidet and then used the pole to ride in their butt crack up and down the pole to dry it. That's what it's like. I mean, I said to my mates, look, you touch that pole, right? But would you put your hand on, like someone had just sneezed and went to shake your hand, you wouldn't shake their hand. Why are you putting your hand on the pole? It's
Some
not
people
clean.
think it strengthens them. Some people are like,
well, that's exactly what my mate Tim said.
I need to be exposed to all this disease.
He said,
fine, let's inject you with the coronavirus.
He said, I haven't had a sick day in 10 years, so you tell me. I was like, but you're riding the line.
Sometimes you got to hold on to that pole, though. Like, what if the bus or the subway is jerking around like crazy, and you got to hold on?
I crook my elbow around it, and I lean on it. Like, I developed a method so that I basically wrap myself around the pole rather than put my hand on it. Yeah. And if you rest the shoulder blade on it, that's pretty solid. Like 1 foot on one side at the base, and then the shoulder blade on the other, and you're rock solid. And people look at you and wonder, how's he doing it? He's got perfect balance. I'm just carefully wrapped around the pole.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's wonder.
It's wonder. I'm pretty sure. Some kind of wonder.
It's maybe not the kind of wonder you think.
No, it might be the other kind of wonder. You're right. It might be that I wonder what the fuck that guy's doing.
It could be a different kind of wonder. Yeah.
You don't want to go sprawling across the floor of a
No,
tube
I'm always safe.
God, that'd be even worse.
Safe.
I mean, for all that, you don't want to put your hands on the floor. That's for sure.
A broken leg is probably
worse. But people
worse
touching the escalator, the rubber thing on the escalator, which looks like it's teeming with germs already. I mean, think
of course,
how many
it feels it's always all warm and stuff too, when you do touch it.
I mean, we're worried about, the environment, but all of our stuff's teeming with germs. There's fucking
Well, that's the thing. I mean, most people be super conscious of it now because of this going around, but if this wasn't a thing right now, people would be touching the rubber on the escalator, no problem, not washing their hands and stuff. You generally, I don't think people think like that. They don't think about that. Some people do.
My dad, when he buys a canned drink from the store, he will wash the top of the can.
Yeah. We do that with tins of like soup and stuff as well.
You wash the top of the tin?
Yeah, before you open it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, fuck, you never know what's on there, right?
Dusty, can't they?
They could have been in somebody's ass. Who knows?
Those really dusty, dirty tins.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I also, when I'm moving around in town, I use a zorb. One of those giant balloon zorb thing.
We should do that. We should change public transport over to like
Zorbs.
Kind of everyone is in their own big Orby or whatever. And just like the tube is just like a pipe filled with
Full
Orbeez.
of these marble-like zorbs with people.
And you just push yourself into the orb mess.
I remember watching this guy tried to do the world record for like length of zorb, like how long he rolled down this big hill in the zorb, and he was like, he had a GoPro in there. He got in the zorb and he was like, I'm very experienced zorber, don't try this at home. We've cleared this area. It's a good long hill. This is going to be great, guys. I hope you're excited. And as soon as it started, it began to bounce a little bit. And once it starts bouncing, it just gets progressively worse and worse. because it's just like, it's gathering speed. So each bounce is getting bigger and the G-force inside is getting greater and greater every time the Zorb lands. 10 meters into his run, he starts bouncing. He's like, oh no! Ah! Just screaming the whole way down because the G-force is so bad. And I think he must have thought, oh my God, I'm going to die. They got out the other end and he was just like moaning and groaning. And it was so funny, the transition.
They opened the Zorb, but it was just jam.
Exactly. He set the record, but it did cost him.
Fuck.
Quickest man into jam.
Quickest jamming of a man.
You do hear these urban myths about people zorbing off mountains and stuff.
Well, no, this guy did it. There's a video of a guy doing it.
Do you?
I think it was in Russia. He zorbed on a ski slope.
I've never heard a Zorb urban myth. I got to be honest.
Yeah,
like, it's not
a common urban myth, is it?
No.
Round the campfire, Lewis with all his zorbing horror stories.
The great zorbening of 2020.
Those ski slopes are steep.
Yeah,
real steep.
Dangerous. I think zorbing can be dangerous for sure. But
there was one where the guy went down a snowy mountain slope and went over a crevasse and died.
Wow.
Fell into a deep gorge. That is true.
All right, listen to this. Okay. Well, let's see if you can top this, actually. This is a strange one. I had pancakes for dinner yesterday. I think this might be the cause of the story I'm about to tell you.
Shrove Tuesday.
I had some pancakes for dinner. They were really good pancakes. Like, I like them a lot. Had some blueberries, fresh blueberries.
Did you make them yourself or were they pre-made?
No, they're pre-made.
How do you get a pre-made pancake?
Yeah, you can
Is
buy
that a
them in a
thing?
pack.
Because it's 2020, P-Flax. No one's
And you
people
get
ain't got
pre-made
time.
everything now. Flax.
It's more
Jeez.
inefficient to buy all the fucking ingredients. It's
Yeah.
probably cheaper just to buy pre-made.
I think the source of this story that I'm about to tell you is because of pancake eating. Somehow, I don't have any proof, but we'll see. Let's see what you think. Anyway, I do the usual. I watch a bit of TV. It's getting late. My wife's getting ready to go to bed, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go out and play some Tarkov for a bit, as I normally do. So I snuck out and played a bit Tarkov. It was good. I had a nice time and everything, and didn't listen to any music or anything. This is an important point to note. I wasn't listening to music. I didn't do anything out of the ordinary. In fact, another point to note. I don't think I've had anything to do with Paul McCartney for quite some time, actually. I listened to the Beatles a lot, last year, but recently, nothing, So anyway.
You've not spoken to him?
No, I haven't spoken to him. I haven't seen anything with him in it, nothing, okay? Paul McCartney is just a distant memory for me. So anyway, I close my eyes, I hit the sack, I go to bed. I have this dream that I'm in my backyard. I'm in the garden with, my kids and my wife, and we're just doing family stuff in the garden. The kids are playing and having a barbecue and stuff. And Paul McCartney's there, but he's just standing there. He's not talking or anything. I'm talking to my wife. I'm talking to my kids and stuff. And Paul McCartney's just it's like he's not there. He's just it's like he's a ghost or something. Nobody notices him. Nobody interacts with him whatsoever or whatever. He's just standing there.
Gosh.
He's wearing a pair of jeans and just a normal shirt or whatever. And he's got that weird mullet hair that Paul McCartney always has.
Thanks for inviting me to your barbecue, Craig.
Yeah.
Right.
No, he didn't say a word. He didn't say a single word. So at some point in the barbecue, I turned to my wife and I have this cardboard box. It's this little tiny cardboard box with almost it's a big hole, the side is missing from the box. So it's it looks like it could be a little stage or something like that. You know what I mean? There's a side completely missing. So inside the box, I'm putting in some straw and some other stuff. And then I find a whole bunch of weeds on the lawn, dandelions and whatnot. So I put a whole bunch in there so that it's facing the front of where the hole is, outward. And I turned to my wife and was like, I wonder if Paul McCartney will like this. And she's like, yeah, try him on it. So I hold the box really close to Paul McCartney's face and he starts nibbling on some weeds, just some dandelion leaves or whatever. And looks like he likes them. And I turn to my wife and I say, yeah, he really likes this. And then just before I'm waking up, my kids wake me up about 2 minutes after this. My final thought in my dream is, I'm going to put this box on the ground. And then I had this vision of Paul McCartney on all fours down on the grass, eating leaves out of this box in my backyard. And then I woke up.
Oh my god.
What the fuck?
It's just
Weird.
a dream, dude.
Am I dying or something? Like, that's the
And
weird.
then you went
though.
on your phone.
No?
And it was like Paul McCartney enjoyed his visit to Jersey.
Why Paul McCartney? And why the fuck am I treating him like he's a guinea pig or like a tortoise
Or a
or something?
turtle.
Like,
Who said dreams
Yeah.
have to make sense?
yeah, but come on. Like, normally you have a
Well,
dream
your
about...
dreams are an ordered sequence of cause
No,
and
let's
effect,
work
and
this
it's
out,
all very
P-Flax.
reasonable.
Let's
That's not a
figure it
dream.
out. It means something.
I don't expect it to be reasonable, but why Paul McCartney? Like, what is the universe trying to tell me here? Like,
What does Paul McCartney represent to you?
I tell you what he's
nothing.
doing. I know exactly what this is.
I'm completely ambivalent towards
Listen
Paul
to
McCartney.
me. I'm gonna tell you. Paul McCartney is astrally projecting himself into your dreams.
He
because
better
you've stopped
fucking not
listening.
be, okay?
You stopped listening. Why aren't you listening
Why
anymore?
Paul McCartney?
Chris?
Why couldn't it be like Cameron Diaz or somebody projecting?
I've
like,
looked at your Spotify most played, Chris, and I've noticed a real drop off in Beatles classics.
fuck off, Paul. Get out of my dreams. Get into my car. No.
I just stand here creepily in your garden until you start
John
listening to number one, the album again.
Number ones. It was just fucking... I didn't feel creeped out by it or anything. I just woke up and I was just perplexed. I just couldn't believe it. I woke up and I just thought, what the fuck? Like, it was just such a weird... I didn't have disturbed sleep. I don't remember waking up or anything. Just a nice sleep and just a solid fucking dream about Paul McCartney eating weeds out of a box in my backyard. I need like a dream analyzer or
Do you
something.
reckon it's just your brain getting all jumbled up? Like, I always think of sleep as like tidying up your brain, like filing stuff into boxes.
Of course.
Well, it does do that.
I always
but
think of
We
sleep.
don't even really understand sleep, so there's that.
No, we
No.
don't. I always don't even know.
I only got, for instance, last night, I got a 79 on Fitbit for my sleep. 79. That's not good.
What the
I got
hell?
it-
What's it monitoring?
I wear my Fitbit when I'm sleeping
Right.
because I like to see how my sleep has been. So
Right.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday last week, all in the 80s. Good, right? I got on Sunday night, I got an 86. Mrs. F is very jealous. On
Good year.
On the 20th of February, I got a 92. Excellent.
Wow.
Jesus.
92. And she always looks at this, she's like, I never break 70. Like, she has terrible sleep. But so 79 for me is not good. I woke up a ton during the night. I suspect because I had quite a lot to drink, and it disturbs your sleep. I was awake for an hour and 2 minutes.
And that's a 79? If I was waking up, that's a 0 for me. Like, what the hell kind of metrics is Fitbit using here?
Because you wake up without realizing it all through the night, all right? Just for a minute or two at a time.
Though. Like, that
Yeah,
sucks.
but you don't notice. That's what I'm saying. Is you're just technically awake.
That's me sleeping at a hotel every time I stay at a hotel, basically.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, I never sleep soundly. Like, it's just like I'm constantly
I'm with you
waking
on
up.
that.
It's just like uncomfortable. It's not my bed. Like, it's,
No, I'm the opposite. Hotels, I'm like,
So I
bam,
think my Fitbit
out.
would
Love
record a 0 for every hotel stay.
0.
They have to, right? It's terrible.
I sleep far better in hotels than anywhere else.
Really?
Every time.
But
I love
you're
it.
so you've got the 3 stages. You've got deep sleep, light sleep, and REM. Okay,
Right.
and generally speaking,
Oh,
generally
Sips, you'll be
speaking,
listening to REM again.
you go bam straight into deep sleep. It's deep light, and then you get into REM later in the night. So you don't really dream in the early stages of your sleep, which is why when you wake up in the middle of the night, you have no idea what time it is. There's no point of reference. You're not in the middle of a dream and then wake up for it. It's once you get into 3-4 a.m. That's when you sort of get into REM, and that's when you have like nightmares and things like that,
Right.
and regular dreams. And then that's why you often are dreaming just before you wake up, because you're in REM sleep at that point,
Right.
leading into to you waking up. But it's interesting to look at. I just recently I upped my prescription for my brain pills. They've doubled the dose.
Brain pills.
Yeah, for the panic attacks.
Oh, right.
So it's my doctor is awesome, by the way. She's awesome.
Yeah.
And she said to me, one of the
Is
things
that the
you can
brain
do is-
pills talking, or is that your
No,
your
she
honest
actually is.
opinion?
She actually is.
Everything is awesome. The sun is awesome. The clouds
She is
are
the
awesome.
best doctor. I must give her my bank
You
account.
guys are awesome.
Must give bank account to this doctor.
She said the other thing we can do is give you some kind of counseling, but it'll be like a group session. And my face immediately fell because the
Right.
idea of talking to strangers about this or just mingling with them it disgusts me. And she saw that and she said, it is basically like a lecture. She said that you don't have to talk, you just sit there and they just talk to you about this. I was like, that sounds terrible. Don't sign me up for that. And she was like, okay, I won't. And I'll just give you
more
some
brain
pills. I'll
pills.
give you brain pills. Who wants to go to a fucking lecture?
It's
with a bunch of
interesting.
other
Get you out of the house,
people?
something to talk about to us.
Ugh.
I'm interested in hearing about it.
No
You should
way.
do it.
I'm not.
I'll tell you about the comedy gig I went to last night. Unfortunately, we were in the front row.
Oh shit!
Were you heckling?
No, we weren't heckling, but I didn't laugh once. Like,
Did you get heckled by them saying, "Oh, it's Baldy in the front row"?
No.
Baldy.
No, I was waiting for
Baldy.
that. I was waiting for
Yeah,
that.
remember
No.
that time, Lewis? Remember that time we went to that zombie burlesque show, and we weren't even sitting like at the front, and they were heckling us big time.
Oh,
that was
yeah,
uncomfortable.
they were.
I didn't like that.
That was great.
No, I hated that.
Yeah.
There was lots of
They were mocking all of us.
man, all of us. Yeah. But I didn't like the tone. The implication that it was like 5 guys, so they just assumed that we were all gay, which was, you know what I mean? Like what? We were on a trip together. Like, but that's the thing when you're getting heckled or like roasted like that. You can't explain the situation, you know? Like,
Yeah.
you can't go into detail.
Yeah, it does
like,
look a bit gay.
they don't
5
care.
British guys.
Well, actually, we're just 5 good friends. And shut up. You know, yeah, you can't. But so he would interact with the audience. He asked someone a question about where they were from, and they said Preston, and one other person cheered the audience, and then he sort of did a bit about that. And then someone shouted something out, and he said to me, what did they shout out? I didn't hear. And I said, I don't know, I thought she said Pete Town. And he said, Pete Town? What does that mean? And he sort of did a bit about that for some reason, and then she'd actually shouted P-Town, which is like Preston. P-Town is what they call it.
P-Town! That's like a very
P-Town!
That's like a very
I thought she
American
said
thing,
Pete-Town,
isn't it?
which was weird.
P-Town.
Yeah. And then the set continued, and he like made a couple of other references, but he was not funny. Like I literally did not laugh once. It was one of the worst gigs I've ever been to in terms of the comedy.
What convinced you to do this? To go to this show? Like,
Well, my
on a
friends and
recommendation,
I-
or you guys just wanted somewhere to go to have a
No,
couple of-
my friends and I have a WhatsApp group.
Right.
I don't know how much they would be comfortable with me giving away, so I'm going to maintain some level of secrecy about this.
Yeah,
Sure.
But
no,
we basically
definitely.
go on what we call cultural sort of trips. All right. So if it's anything vaguely cultural and you recommend it, or even if you just want to try it out, you put it in the WhatsApp group and we commit. Even if we suspect we're not going to like it, or it's
I think
something
we should go on a cultural trip to the Stag and Hound and get absolutely pissed.
Well, there's definitely a pub involved. Generally, we'll meet at the pub and we'll have
knew
a
that
meal,
would be
and then we'll
part
go
of it,
do.
yeah.
It's a real middle-aged thing to do, I think.
Yeah.
But I wish we'd been doing it earlier because we'll just random things like a talk or something like that, you know, or like like a gig for a band that perhaps we're not that familiar with, or a comedian. Or a film or something, and it's nice so someone else recommends it or suggests it, and the rest of the lads say, "Yep, we'll do that. Here's the night." And even if you're not interested, maybe you
even if it wasn't that funny, it was still you had a good time.
had to. I mean, honestly, it was the main thing was 5:30. I was at a pub with my mates, and the show wasn't till
Well,
like 9. So it was mainly a nice chance to chat to the boys and have a few beers, which was great. But it's interesting. I think it's a nice approach that there's no judgment about it. Even if we review it, after say I thought that was shit, I would never say I'm never doing this again. You know what I mean? Or I would flame the person responsible for booking it, although it was a
So
poor
why
choice.
wouldn't you go for the counselling? That sounds like a unusual trip that you can report back
not
on. No, I'm
cultural.
not saying that you should.
I know,
How about we do
but
the
I know exactly
counselling
what
right
it's going
here
to be.
now?
I know exactly what it's going to be.
Go on, then.
It's going to be someone who I might describe as a hippie type, right? Standing up there, they probably think crystals have power and that molecules have memories. That's what I'm imagining they're going to be like.
Right.
Someone with flouncy clothes.
Jeez.
They're going to stand up there and they're going to talk about mindfulness and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just going to be bored to tears, and I'm going to immediately not respect this person's opinions about anything at all. Because to me, the brain is just a chemical imbalance. That's what all this stuff is. You can struggle to do mindfulness all you like and stuff, but there are some things I've been doing with breathing to sort of help control the panic attacks. But to me, I'm saying if it works for you, it works for you. But to me, if I think it's at all pseudoscience-y, I'm out, and it will not work.
Yeah.
So there's just no point.
Well, it's the same thing with hypnotism. If you don't want to be hypnotized, you can't.
Right.
It's not like some magical power
Yeah.
where people can suddenly take control of you. You have to believe in it and want to do it, and it has to come from a place where you trust that it will have power.
Unless we've all been hypnotized to believe that.
Yeah.
So the hypnotists secretly run the world. Every time you're watching
They
telly,
secretly do have
there's
power.
actual hypnotism going on, and you drool and watch Netflix.
Oh my
Netflix
God.
and drool.
Some of the richest people in the world do look a bit like hypnotists, don't they?
Yeah.
Like Zuckerberg.
He could
look
be a
into my
hypnotist.
eyes.
He does, yeah.
Well, he's a cyborg actually, but a cyborg hypnotist. Who knows?
Yeah, he looks like he's made of plastic. It's weird, isn't it?
He's a weird-looking guy.
Yeah.
Most of them are. Jeff
They
Bezos
are
is a
weird.
weird-looking dude.
He is a weird.
If they had
guy, yeah.
goatees, they would be even worse, though.
True.
Wouldn't they? Shit, man. Well, look, I think that what you're saying sounds like you already do some healthy things like breathing, and some of them do work on you. And so maybe some lentils and a sit down with a bit of,
Yeah, you ever
sewn
thought about just
blanket.
going plant-based for a bit, Flax? Maybe a month?
See, this is the kind of shit I'm talking about.
Just for a month. Just try it out. Don't knock it till you try it.
How could that make a difference?
I don't fucking know. Just try it, though.
No, I'm not just going to try random things.
Well,
Why
isn't
not? That's
that-
what life is.
That's all.
No.
Life is 70 years of trying random things, then you die.
No, it is
P-Flax.
not.
You're just
No, it is not.
You're on brain medication and doing breathing exercises. That's pretty fucking random, no?
No, it's not. Those are things that make
So
sense.
some things are less random than others in terms of trying to figure out what's going on.
Right, but you're listing two things that are specifically not random and actually make logical sense. And you're then throwing in a third thing.
No, diet's
just
like,
go plant-based.
Diet's a huge part of health and health problems, right? Like
How is
about you-
being bored with what I'm eating going to improve my brain?
I have no idea, but
Also,
it works
I would
for,
like to point out
works
yet
for some
again
people.
that you guys seem to have me pegged as fucking Fred Flintstone eating dinosaur meat,
Well, man, if the shoe fits,
like some kind of meaty caveman. That's all I do.
You're more like Barney Rubble, I think.
more like Wilma. It's
Hey,
more like Wilma.
man, who did you prefer, Wilma or Betty?
Oh, I never really thought about it.
I was too young when I watched the Flintstones to have any
Yeah,
feelings
I
about
was the
either
same.
of those
I was
two.
the same. I was
Betty
pretty.
had a younger haircut, I'd say. I think Wilma had she looked like a mum.
Let me look them up now because they're more my age now.
Right. Yeah, they've been locked in
Betty
time.
Rubble. I wonder how many people are Googling Betty Rubble right now.
Oh, they're looking good.
Look at Betty.
Oh, Betty's looking great.
That's what I'm saying.
Is there any like because who played Betty in the live action movies? It wasn't Ricky Lake, was it?
Ricky Lake, really?
No, I fucking think Ricky Lake was in the Flintstones, but I don't know. I can't remember what character she played. Because John Goodman played
It was
Fred.
not. It was fucking. What's her name? Oh my God, Rosie O'Donnell was Betty. That's
Rosie
terrible.
That's who
casting.
you're
O'Donnell.
thinking of.
Okay.
That's terrible casting.
Rosie O'Donnell, same. She's very, very Ricky Lake-esque, isn't she? Rosie O'Donnell.
Ricky Lake.
They look kind of the same.
There's a name I have not thought about in a while. What is Ricky Lake up to these days? She was big in the 80s and the 90s. Like the 90s,
She was,
her show was
the
big.
90s especially, yeah. I remember.
probably
Ricky
She's
Lake.
taking brain
51. She
pills.
looks fantastic.
Got a podcast.
She looks fantastic. Well done, Ricky Lake.
What was that Offspring song again? Pretty Fly for a White Guy? There's a mention of Ricky Lake in there. You know, you can always go on Ricky Lake.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a big thing in the 90s, Ricky Lake.
She did Dancing with the Stars.
Oh my God.
There you go. She's doing all sorts of stuff. She's lost all her hair.
Really?
No, she hasn't.
She's shaved her head off. Yeah.
Why?
Hair loss thing. She's like you, P-Flex.
Poor Ricky.
Do you reckon like the hair loss thing was a stress thing? Like an early symbol of stress?
Years of depression, weight loss, pregnancy, and the use of chemicals in her hair that dated back to her work in hairspray.
Oh, God. I thought you were talking about yourself.
She said during the filming, she said, I went from hairspray to hairless.
Oh.
That's terrible. Poor Ricky Lake. God, now I'm really bummed out.
Man, poor Ricky.
Well, don't worry. Don't worry, P-Flex. We're here to help you through it.
We're going to get you through this, Flax.
All right.
Just like we're going to get you through everything else by
right.
going plant-based. That's it,
The thing
Flax.
that's helped me the most, and I don't know if anyone else has panicky episodes like this. The reason I control my breathing is not for some spiritual reason, but because your body responds to your mind responds to what your body's doing. It's like a vicious cycle, right? So
Oh, totally.
your brain
Totally.
panics. It makes your body do things that you don't want, like heart going up, and your breathing starts to accelerate, and then you start to hyperventilate and you get too much oxygen and it makes your limbs go numb if you're breathing too much, and you notice that you're doing it. And what you do is you take one deep breath in and you hold it for 4 seconds full 4 seconds, and then you breathe out again, and then you wait, and then you keep doing that until you calm down. And that really, really fucking helped me. But that's not some mystical shit. That's scientific. That just makes sense. And to me,
like
that's
a little trick.
I understand why this works, and the science behind it backs it up. And
you
and
don't have
effective.
to believe in like a yogic god.
Right,
or
I don't
like,
want to do the
have
fucking
done any,
om
like,
and all this shit.
om
That's not going to
shanties
do
and
it
all
for
this.
me.
No.
Because I'm just like, this is
But
a load of
some
bollocks.
of that does work for other people, and also like one of the things that works for me is like just relaxing your shoulders. Like if you've got like if you just concentrate on like the back of your shoulders and stuff, and your shoulders, and you just make sure they're like all loose and relaxed. And you just like, for me, that's like, because I'm always like, I feel like I'm always lifted a little bit,
Right.
like a higher, like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
It's
I
weird,
find that
but-
when I'm getting panicky, I clench up my jaw.
Right.
Like I clench the muscles in my jaw, and
You
I
set your jaw
yeah,
like a
and-
movie fucking
like John Wayne.
Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I noticed that I tensed up muscles in my shoulder and my upper back and everything. I mean, when you're as swole as I am, you could hurt someone tensing those muscles. So I've got
That's
to be
it.
careful.
Yeah,
These are
one
dangerous
flex.
weapons.
One flex.
You could like bend the tube when you're in the tube, and
Bend the safety pole.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
You gotta
Yeah.
be
You know what
careful.
I watched the other day? Channel 4, Film 4 is a good shout for movies that would have been blockbusters in their day, but they chuck them on at like 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon now. Nobody gives a shit. Die Hard 2, prime example.
Shit.
Commando, prime example, right? So me and Mrs. F have been watching these. I was like,
This is such dross
I know.
background TV.
I was like, look what I recorded. And she goes, oh, like she's like, yes, Die Hard 2.
and both of you
fuck
could
yeah.
sit there in the lounge,
Some of those
not
are
watch the
classics,
movie.
though. I know that some of them haven't aged super well, but like, man, some of them are still great.
Die Hard 2 was a good movie.
There's a good series on Netflix, Flax. We've come to this.
You're going to
part of the
recommend this
podcast.
again, right?
No,
The
this is
movies that made us?
Oh no, well that last time was the toys that made us, but there's a spin-off series called the movies that made us.
Yeah.
And
no, it was when we were streaming, you mentioned.
yeah, they had the making of Die Hard, the original,
Right.
Ghostbusters, Home Alone, and I think Dirty Dancing, which I didn't watch, but
Yeah,
I
fuck
watched
that.
the other ones. But
See, I try not to get too nostalgic because I think it's a really bad thing to do.
I don't think it's
You see a lot of people saying, "Oh, don't make movies like this anymore," as if there's no good movies, and they don't make them like that
It is interesting
anymore.
to see, like, because a lot of these movies just shouldn't have even been made in the first place. They were just like plagued with issues. Like, none of the studios wanted to do it because they all thought they were terrible ideas and stuff. And then just through sheer grit and determination, these films are made, and they're like sensational movies. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy.
absolutely
Was there
raking
one about
millions.
Ghost?
Eh?
Was there one about Ghost? Did you watch Ghost?
No, there wasn't one about Ghost. No.
That was such a big movie when it
There's
was
only
out,
one
guys.
series though. There's still time for them to do.
I'm just wondering whether something
Terminator
triggered
and stuff.
I'm trying to identify the trigger for your dream.
Oh, I
It must have been
see. Yeah,
something.
no, there wasn't-
What dredged
No.
Paul McCartney out of
Yeah,
your dream?
it's really strange,
It's
isn't
just
it?
your subconscious. It's just bored. I think your brain is just bored when you're asleep and it just goes like, ugh, digs back in its filing cabinet
let's
of
turn
memories.
Paul
and-
McCartney into a household pet for this guy's dream. That'll be hilarious. There's like, it's like in Inside Out. I've got like a team, just like, controlling my brain in a control center or whatever.
they're so
Trolling me.
random.
Yeah.
There's just like one guy's like, let's drag out Paul McCartney.
Let's get a vision of Paul McCartney back there.
Let's get him on a 5-a-side team.
Yeah.
But it's only 2 of them.
Hey, Paul, man, stop eating them leaves. What you did?
Hey, so I also watched on Netflix recently the documentary about Aaron Hernandez, the NFL football player.
Yeah, I recommended it to
Yeah,
you.
I
What did you
didn't really
think of
want to
it?
watch it at first because I appreciate the recommendation, but it was just like, I don't know. I find
It's a bit depressing.
a little bit,
a bit hard to
just
watch.
like the whole sort of like angle on repeated sort of concussions and potential brain damage, turning people into like these far cries of what they would normally be. Like remember Chris Benoit, the wrestler, killed his family, and they did an autopsy on him after the fact, and they found
and
that
his head was just full of jam.
basically,
definitely
because
had
of all
this
the pile
conversation.
drivers and stuff.
We have had this conversation very
100
recently.
times.
Yeah. So anyway, I didn't want to watch it based on that because I was just like, I just don't know if
I've seen enough men with their heads.
But
full of
no,
jam.
it was really well done. It's interesting. It's tragic too. Like no matter how you look at it, the whole thing is fairly depressing, but no, it was good. It was interesting.
Oh,
It was well
Lewis, did you find out whether Ben knows the rules to Starfleet battles?
Oh, should I see if he's in today?
No, you don't need to, because he sent a tweet. Someone said on Twitter, "Do you know the rules?" And he replied. So here was the message.
Oh, right.
It goes as follows. "Do you know how to play Starfleet battles? Asking for a friend." That was Josh Metcalf. Ben replies, "Yeah, I played like 20 years ago. It's super detailed, so I probably don't remember half the rules."
Oh.
So he does not know the rules to Starfleet battles.
Oh.
Shit. So he knows. So he knows half the rules.
he
I feel
doesn't.
like that's almost all the rules.
No.
I feel like if he started playing
Half
it would
it's
come back.
clearly
though.
not all. Come on. What?
No, but that's be the thing. We'd go and play Starfleet battles with him, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, so you set this up here, you do this." I basically that's
So
it.
if
Do
you
you know what I mean?
won $1 million,
I ain't giving you a penny.
you'd be happy with half because that's almost all of it.
I'd
Go
take
get
half.
Ben.
right.
See if he's in. Get him. I want to ask him a question. Go get Ben.
Don't get Ben.
Go get Ben.
Spare Ben.
Lewis?
He's gone to get Ben, I think.
He's gone to get Ben. He has
wants
gone
to,
to
he
get Ben.
wants
This is
to settle
exciting.
this once and for all. He's
Do you know what this is?
dedicated.
This is technically a guest appearance on the Triforce podcast by Ben.
Well, I mean, he might not, though, because Lewis will probably just come back and lie and say, "Oh, yeah, I spoke to him and he does remember all the rules," without coming back. That's a very typical Brindley maneuver, I would say. There you
go.
Oh,
Here he
he's
is.
back. Here he comes.
Hello.
Ben?
Yeah,
Oh,
how
my
you
God,
doing?
it is a guest appearance.
Ben, welcome to
Welcome,
the Triforce
Ben.
podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Don't talk too much, all right? Hold on, I got a question for you.
Yeah, keep it down a little
the
bit.
question is this.
I've got a long, complicated political speech to
The
give.
star of the show is trying to speak right now. Come on.
So, Starfleet battles, Lewis said,
Yeah.
Ben will know the rules to that. Bring it down next time you come down to Bristol. I said, I'm not being funny, Lewis, but the rule book is like, it's like 3-volume, it's like a legal document. It's like, it's like clause 14AB, 14.117 and all that. I was like, Ben doesn't know the rules to Starfleet, but it'll take us ages to learn how to play it. And he was very confident and bet me £20 Ben knows the rules to Starfleet battles. Those were his words. And I said, no, he doesn't.
Okay.
So which is it?
Okay, well, it's hard to say because this is a bit of a halfway answer for you. I have played Starfleet battles before, about 20 years ago.
Right. But we couldn't just sit down and play it. Like, we wouldn't even remember how to do
anything. It's such a complicated game. I think unless you've played it in the last week, you don't know the rules because there's so many of them. It's a super complex game. But it wouldn't take me long to pick it back up again, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if we've got the books, we could do it.
He's just a bit rusty.
I mean, next time I come down, I'll bring it.
It's just a bit
but
rusty.
his point was that we could just sit down, Ben will know the rules, which I think is a load of bullshit.
Oh no, I couldn't show someone how to play it. I'd have to read through the book.
Exactly.
But
Thank you,
I do
Ben.
remember it. That's all right. I've got a funny story about Starfleet battles.
Get out.
Oh, sorry. See you later.
Oh shit! All right, screw you guys. Wow, amazing. The Triforce podcast is not the place for funny stories, Ben.
No, we're trying to keep this podcast funny story free. We're not going to jeopardize our reputation off the back of Ben of all people. That's for damn sure. Jeez.
Especially because has he gone?
Yeah.
No, he's still there. He's
for anyone
crying.
wondering,
He's very tearful.
For anyone wondering, I actually know what his funny Starfleet battle story is.
Right.
Okay, so I can tell it now. He was at one of these gaming events where everybody sits around and plays games.
Right.
And there was a guy there, and he's like, "Do you want to play Starfleet battles?" And Ben was like, "Well, I've never played." He's like, "Don't worry, I'll show you the ropes." The guy gives him like a rough sort of overview of the rules. They sit down to play, and the first thing you have to do is on each turn is allocate your energy to the different systems on your ship.
Right.
Ben forgot to allocate any energy to life support. So the turn starts, and the guy says, "Right, you haven't allocated any energy to life support." And Ben's like, "Oh, yeah, sorry." And the guy's like, "So yeah, all your crew is dead." And Ben was like, "Okay, can we just and the guy's like, No, that's it. Game over. Sorry, I win." And Ben was like, "Okay." And that was the end of the game.
Ben, I don't know if you know much about Ben, but he doesn't make a lot of eye contact. He looks down a lot. And at this point, Ben lifts his eyes and realizes that he's playing against Sir Paul McCartney. Starfleet battles.
Sir Paul McCartney. It's painted all of his own Star Trek.
So Paul
Huge Star
McCartney
Trek
gets
fan.
down onto the ground on all fours and starts eating some
Leaves.
some dandelion leaves off the floor. He's half mullet and
What the fuck?
just wearing some jeans and stuff.
You do get people like that at these things.
At gaming things, you really do.
Ben told me this story before as well. I'm familiar with it, and it's just it's that guy. it's the same. It's the dungeon master who just like makes up the rules and is airtight at like as he goes, sort of thing. You know, it's like the gatekeeper of fun. It's that guy.
Yeah. I think it's like anybody sees every single game. Like when I know Ben's philosophy about games is basically the same as mine, which is that I don't really play thinking I have to win. I try to win and I want to.
You want to have a fun game, right?
Right. The more fun the game is, the better. Like if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons or you're playing a board game with friends, it doesn't work if you don't play to win. Like you have to try and play the best you can. But the idea that I'm going to destroy fun to make winning more likely to me is bullshit. Like the idea of saying to Ben, getting all the games sorted, get on the pieces, getting everything ready, and then going, well, you didn't allocate life support, game over. It's like, all right, so you don't actually want to play. You just want the W. Like that's all that you want. You don't enjoy the playing of the game. You only enjoy the winning. That's that guy's attitude in a nutshell. Whereas I feel like when I play games with Ben, we have a laugh and he'll say, oh yeah, don't do that, and he'll help out and stuff like that, which is the right way to play games, I think, to play them to win, but the winning is not, for me, the best part of playing the games.
Some people are very competitive.
That's
and
not
that's
competitive.
Okay because that's
insane.
Part of it. But yeah, so that's insane. But for example, like different people are. There is to some extent a problem with. I've been playing a bit of Treasure Island lately in the office with a couple of people. Treasure Island is a really good board game. I recommend you pick it up. It comes with some pens, and the idea is that one of you is Long John Silver and plants the treasure somewhere on the island. You mark it on your own little tiny map, and then everyone else has to find the treasure.
Sounds like a game for kids, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, that does sound like it would appeal to my
really
8-year-old child and not so much me as a man.
So basically you give them all these quite complicated clues about where it is, and then they have to draw either on their own little maps if they've got private information or on the big map in the middle with like these big pens. And so I got some chalk markers. And so by the end of it, it's just a complete mess of like
theories.
You got it comes with a pair of compasses to draw circles.
Right.
It's got it's just scribbles and everywhere, and you realize like the treasure is in this sort of wedge, and so you try and get your character there. And it's great fun and really really good, and I recommend it. You probably could play it with teenagers, but it's not for kids really.
Right.
But I recommend
my youngest at the moment is obsessed with the idea of making board games. And she makes these board games, and they're terrible. But I have to play them with her because she gets really upset if I just say no, that looks shit. So she'll say, "I've made a game. Will you play it with me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
I wonder why she would get upset about that.
I know. Kids are kids.
She might like. My son has been doing this thing at school. It's a Microsoft product. It's called Kodu or something like that. Kodu. Kodu, I think.
Okay.
And it's like a kid's programming. Like you can make games, you can make whatever in it, but it's just like really simple, sort of like
I see this,
Mario Maker style animation-y stuff and whatever.
I mean, she's making board games because she loves to do anything with scissors and bits of paper.
She might like that though. Like if she's into that sort of stuff. Like I thought I'd mention it because I know my son's like super into it. He came home yesterday. He's like, "Hey, you tried this thing at school. I need to use the computer." I was like, she's a fucking computer.
I love that.
Like he's like so fucking excited that like this stuff had to happen like this instant. I was like, oh, geez, all right.
But her games are always the same.
Right.
Like she draws a track, like a long winding track, squares it up, numbers it, and then she'll write little penalties or bonuses in the squares.
Right.
So there's some snakes here that go. So if you go on this square, you go on a snake.
It's essentially all of her games are a variation of Snakes and Ladders, which I've mentioned to her several times. I'm like, this is good, love, well done, but all your games are the same because you start with the track and then you build the game around that. And there's really only so much you can do with just a track and a dice and 2 counters. So I was like, why don't you think of a cool idea for a game and then we'll build it like properly and it'll be good. I said, look at this is a bad example. I said, think of Carcassonne, which we play sometimes. We play Carcassonne. I said, that's interesting because
I played Carcassonne this week.
Because there's a random element to Carcassonne of what tile you draw, but the strategy is where you place it. I said, any game...
Carcassonne is very hard game.
It's a great game. It's a great game.
Very, very... It quickly goes to incredibly... You can be a real high level...
You can. But I said to her, the fun of it is that you have some choice. I said, the problem with your games is that it's one track, and whether you win or lose is entirely down to the dice roll. I said, so it's not really a game of skill around. There's no fun. It's just rolling a dice and seeing what you land on. But because she's made it, she wants to play it. And I play it, and I say to her, look, why don't we come up with an idea for a game and then we'll make it? Like, she just can't get her head around that idea. She just wants to do it now. She thinks, I want to make a game. And she thinks, what should I do? She just draws a track, puts go back 1, go back 2, go back 4, miss a turn. And it's fucking tedious. I'm waiting for her to get out of the game making phase.
Right.
Or to develop at least to stage 2, which is a fun game.
I think that there's so many really interesting and really cool board games. So this is something I've been really getting into lately. Board games is I've been playing, because obviously when Tips we came down, we played Terraforming Mars, which is really fun.
That was fun. Yeah, I like that.
I've recently been playing a game called Wingspan, which is made it's actually designed by a woman quite famously. She's quite famous though. She's quite well known for making really good board games. And you don't necessarily see that. Like, a lot of the biggest board games are made by guys. I think is it apart from Monopoly, which is obviously classically famous for being made by a woman.
No, it wasn't.
Monopoly was, yeah.
No, it wasn't.
I don't think women were allowed to do anything back when Monopoly was invented.
Monopoly was made by a dude.
Yeah. John Monopoly.
It's made by a woman.
The history of Monopoly can be traced back to 1903 when American anti-monopolist Lizzie Magie.
Oh, there you go.
So there are female board game designers, and Wingspan is actually, it's really beautifully made. Like, the actual box, it's really high quality materials. It's got lots of cards. It's very easy to learn. It's actually got a really good rule book. It's really quick and easy to learn, and it's really fun. And the idea is that you sort of have to design or find combos between birds and lay eggs on them, and it's each bird has a different activity, and there's 200, so every game is very, very different. And there's a version on Tabletop Sim which I looked at, so I thought we might, because we've been trying to play strategy games on Arbitrary Admirals this year, but there's nothing good. So we're thinking about doing some tabletop games. And Wingspan's really, really cool. And also, I've been playing Gloomhaven.
Oh, okay. All right.
Cool.
So here's the thing. Lizzie Magie developed what was essentially the Landlord's game, okay? That was self-published beginning in 1906. So this guy called Charles Darrow, he was the one who wrote Monopoly, based on Lizzie Magie's original creation. So the game of Monopoly was made by Charles Darrow, but it was based on Lizzie Magie's game, The Landlord's Game. So that's what it was. That I knew it was a dude behind Monopoly, but Lizzie Magie, she came up with the original idea for a game that Monopoly was based on. In your face!
No women have ever made anything good apart from Wingspan, which is good. Jeez. So check it out. I recommend Wingspan a lot.
What was Wingspan about again?
Really, really good
I was
game.
so busy thinking about Monopoly, and
it's about birds.
Right.
It's good. You'll like it. It's really simple.
What, birds like women? You mean birds, Lewis? Well, they've never done nothing, have they? Never made nothing. According to my mate Lewis, women are useless.
So I'm definitely into board games at the moment. I'm really, really keen to sort of play some of these interesting things that I haven't played before. I'm going to look at Mysterium this week, which is apparently quite a famous board game that I've never played.
Right.
But my parents wanted to play Carcassonne when I went over there at Christmas.
Great game.
Because my mum's been playing it and she's bought all the extra bits.
Right.
Oof.
All the DLCs.
There's about 10 expansions.
She bought all the
now.
DLCs for it. She's all ready to go.
All the extra.
She's all revved up.
Yeah, it's and honestly, I'm actually amazed. I was looking at Tabletop Sim, and there's so many weird fucking versions that they've made. So much work has gone into putting some of these games into Tabletop Sim. Some of the most famous was Puerto Rico were in there. And
Can I recommend Block War, the Judge Dredd universe board game Block War? It's a fantastic game. You have 2 tower blocks, and you have to destroy the other player's block. And it's great. I used to play it with my mates all the time, and they would bring around their copies, and you can just have multiple tower blocks, and you sort of have a wraparound thing. And it's just such a fun game. There are fires can break out, and they start to spread out of control. And it's honestly, it's so much fun. And it's got all your favorite Mega City 1 characters, like the City Death Force and all the crazies and all the rest of it.
Nice.
It's great. It's fantastic. It's a great game.
I recommend Fireball Island. That's my recommendation. It's a great one.
Right.
I mentioned it before.
Is that the one with the lava? Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a marble that
man.
rolls down out of a skull's mouth, and you have to knock over an adventure.
Oh, you're like Mousetrap.
Kinda, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's fucking really good though. Like if you get your
Now
hands on
that was a shit game. Do you remember? I used to go around someone's house and they'd be like, "Let's play a Mousetrap." I was like, "Oh, fine."
Yeah, my kids got Mousetrap for Christmas like 2 years ago, and we thought, "Oh,
Yeah,
they're
that
gonna
is
love
such
this.
a-
This is
yeah.
a classic," and they hated it. They just like
It's terrible.
didn't even pay one
It's like
ounce of
Operation.
attention to it.
Operation is a bad game. You play it, it's like, this fucking sucks. This is ridiculous.
My kids got Hungry Hippos, which they like. They like Hungry
That's
Hippos.
a banger of a game.
Yeah.
Now, Hungry Hippos is a great game.
That game saved Hasbro at one point, you know.
Really?
Hasbro almost was dead in the 80s, and if it wasn't
Wow.
for Hungry Hippos, they'd be fucking gone.
It's
They wouldn't
amazing
even
to me when
exist
that
right now.
happens.
Yeah.
Like Disney, if that Cinderella movie hadn't been a
Yeah,
hit,
so many
Cinderella
big
animated-
companies have had
Yeah.
times like that. It always amazes me, like you think of these huge companies and how they make so much money and they have so much power and they can never do wrong. But if you look in their history, fuck me, it's such a gamble, like all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Like so many of them have made dumb mistakes. Like Lego, same with Lego. Early 2000s, Lego almost went under. Like they had like IPs with Star Wars and Harry Potter at the time, and there's no new movie. Like in
Right.
2004, I think, and they were just like, ah, fuck, we're dead. Like we,
Wow.
yeah, we're like, we have to do something or we will just lose the company. And then
I can't remember what I was watching recently, and they said like it's very unusual for a company to last longer than 40 years. Like even a company that's very successful, they get about 40 years, and then it just starts to go to shit.
if a company is about one thing, like toy
Yeah, yeah.
companies are interesting because they have they have like product lines, right? Like they
Right,
have like
but
IPs
the
and
thing
whatever.
is, you get sloppiness coming in.
Yeah.
or they
become
haven't got any good
complacent,
new
yeah.
ideas.
Yeah.
they get complacent. They just run what's working for them into the ground, and then they suddenly don't have any new ideas.
It's
you see
weird,
it with
though.
games companies. You
Wait,
see it
games
with
companies
all
are the
kinds.
same. Yeah, there's a factor to that. I think. Like I have a theory on this, and it's that if a company is around for a long enough time, the people that it ends up hiring are diehard fans of their company, like that grew up. You know, like
Right,
look
right.
at Blizzard's like that now. To some extent, Valve is like that now. Certainly, toy companies are like that. You know, oh, I grew up playing GI Joes and stuff, but all they have to offer the company is like their nostalgia and the feeling of love for the toys or the things that the company used to do. But I don't know if they're necessarily like it's almost like you need somebody who like doesn't fucking give a shit, but just has these insanely good ideas or something. You know what I mean? Like
I think they also are reluctant to get into a new market or a new idea that could actually help. Kodak is a good example of that,
Yeah.
right? Kodak, huge name for years, and now nobody knows Kodak. Like they're basically
they just do batteries now, I think.
Right,
Like,
it's
the
just like
film and stuff is just
digital film came along. They did not jump into it the way they needed to.
No.
because they were used to making physical products. So the limitations of what a company expects themselves to be doing and to be good at, when that changed, I mean, Blockbuster is another example.
Yeah.
Could have bought Netflix for like 40 million.
Yeah.
Netflix was like, we want to do a deal with you. They're like, no, we do physical stuff. We have shops. We don't do this mail order crap and streaming. What is this? But we could be talking blockbusters and chill, but we're not. And I just think it's incredible, really, that these huge mammoth companies, like you say, that are
sometimes
such a
they
big name.
They get it wrong. They just like and frequently as well. It's not like don't get me wrong. Some companies just like seem like they could do no wrong. But even Apple at one point was just like
Apple was in big trouble.
Yeah, nobody
they
fucking
really
gave
were.
a shit
Multiple
about Apple.
times.
They made lots of fucking dumb investments and dumb mistakes, and then it's really just
And
like
then the
phones
iPod
and
came along and
tablets that came
literally
along, yeah.
saved their entire company. The iPod, that became it.
I'm always super interested in stuff like that, but I think my theory stands, but I'm sorry if it doesn't really make much sense. I'm not saying that like everybody who joins a company because they're a fan of the company is bad for the company, but I feel like there is a saturation of people like that who may not necessarily be like the best fit for the company, but they end up getting taken onto the company because they're so passionate about it before they even work there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's a great hiring practice. Like you look at some of the stuff that's been popular in the past so randomly, like after watching these like toy documentaries and movie documentaries and stuff. And it's oftentimes just people that have nothing to do with anything. You know, it's just like some fucking weirdo in a basement somewhere who has this idea that is then chopped and changed and made for market, and it just works. You know what I mean? Like it's
crazy.
It is
much
crazy,
like this
yeah.
podcast. It just works.
It just works, and now it's done. So peace. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, very abrupt end. That'll do.